The Skeletons of Robinson Street, the man who spoke to shadows. They say the dead don't talk, but on Robinson Street, in a crumbling house behind an iron gate, one man claimed they never stopped. Kolkata, 2015. The monsoon clouds hadn't broken yet. The city was quiet, but something inside House 3 on Robinson Street had already rotted. For 6 months, Partha De had lived with ghosts, not metaphorical ones, not figments of memory, but literal corpses. Behind the tall iron gate, under shuttered windows, Partha moved like a shadow, drawing the curtains, boiling milk, cleaning blood off porcelain, and tucking in bones like they were children asleep in bed. He wasn't a lunatic, at least not in the way you'd expect. Partha was once ordinary. A quiet 44-year-old software engineer with an apartment, a desk job, and a sister, Debyani, who never married. They lived with their father, Arabindo De, a retired engineer who clung to rituals, Vedantic texts, and silence like armor. 3 people in one house, but loneliness seeped in from the walls. Debjani had left her job. Arabindo barely spoke, and Partha had begun to hear whispers in the dark. At first it was his name, then old gospel recordings on repeat. Then the dogs died. 2 Labradors, their only companions, fell ill and passed within days. Debyani, shattered, locked herself in her room and refused food. Partha tried. He made soup, lit incense, slid letters under her door, but she wouldn't open it. One morning the smell hit him, a thick iron tang that clung to the hallway. She was gone. But Partha didn't report it, didn't bury her, didn't cremate her. He changed her bed sheets, brushed her hair, and lit candles by her body. When asked later by the police, Partha said she wasn't gone. She came at night, she sang, she whispered. She was a skeleton, laid neatly on the bed. The body was dry, like she'd been embalmed by time. Around her were teddy bears and incense. You could smell vanilla. It wasn't a crime scene. It was a shrine. Partha lived with her remains, and with the bodies of the dogs still curled beside her feet. It was only after Arabindo De, Partha's father, set himself on fire in the bathroom that the world peeked into this house of death. Neighbors said they noticed nothing, just a man who came out for milk and bread, paid on time, and wore pressed clothes. Nobody imagined that inside he was eating beside skeletons. Firefighters broke in due to the fire. Arabindo's body was found, charred and contorted. But what they found upstairs turned the house into a legend. The room wasn't dark. It was glowing. Soft table lamps lit each corner. The beds made, the floor scrubbed. But on the bed was a full skeleton, propped up, decorated, cared for. That was Debjani. And Partha sat beside her, calm, sipping tea. She asked me not to let go, not to bury her. I couldn't abandon her like others abandoned us. He wasn't hysterical, he wasn't high, he was just tired. The media went wild. House of Horrors! Kolkata's skeleton man. Brother lived with sister's corpse for 6 months. But what they didn't show was his diary. In it, Partha wrote pages and pages of soft, almost childlike thoughts. They think I am mad, but mad is being alone. Mad is burying your loved ones before they tell you goodbye. Debyani told me the priests are wrong. She said some souls choose to stay. I wake up at night and smell her perfume. Was he delusional, or had grief rewired something deeper? Doctors evaluated him. He was sent to Pavlov Mental Hospital, treated, declared not criminally insane, and eventually released. But what no one noticed was what followed him out of that house. 2 years later. Kolkata, 2017. 2 years after the world moved on from Robinson Street's headlines, Partha De became a ghost himself. The newspapers called it poetic. He died, like his father. But some say he didn't die alone. They say he was taken. The police found the door locked from the inside. No signs of struggle. The windows were shut tight. The room was clean, almost too clean. There were no letters, no will. But there was a smell of oil, of burnt hair, of something older than death. Partha's body was found slumped in the bathtub. His skin had peeled from the heat, but parts of his face remained untouched, eyes wide open, mouth slightly parted, as if he had tried to scream or whisper. He didn't speak to anyone, but we'd hear music, always the same gospel, or bhajan, around 3 in the morning. It was like he needed the dead to fall asleep. Another neighbor swore she saw Partha a few days before his death, standing under the water tank at night, talking to the shadows, but it wasn't just what he did, it was what he left behind. A new diary, this one, different, scrawled in hurried ink. The last few pages were nearly unintelligible, but certain words kept repeating. She's not happy. The fire didn't take her. She sits by the tap, she watches me. She won't let go, I hear her comb her hair. Psychologists wrote it off as untreated delusional grief syndrome. But the forensics report noted something strange. No matches or lighter found, no signs of force or struggle. Burn pattern consistent with an external ignition point, as if someone else had set the fire. Investigators later learned that Partha had begun visiting a tantric healer months before his death, a man named Guru Mahadev, who operated from the outskirts of Kalighat. Mahadev told authorities, "He came with shadows on his shoulders. I gave him camphor, turmeric, and silver thread, but it was too late. He had made a home for the dead." Locals believed the Robinson Street house had become a hinge place, a spot where grief blurred the lines between the living and the dead. Not a haunted house, but a trapped one. Some called it Kankal Bari, the House of Bones. After Partha's death, the house was locked, but workers who came to seal the windows reported seeing something unnatural. One laborer left mid-shift, pale and silent. When pressed, he whispered, "There's a woman in the mirror. She's brushing her hair." In the years that followed, no one claimed Partha's body. No family, no distant relatives. His cremation was done quietly, with no rites. Some said that's why his spirit remains uneasy. A police officer who handled both cases, Arabindo's and Partha's, later confessed over drinks. "I don't believe in ghosts, but when I left the second apartment, I felt something cold grab my wrist. When I got home, I had burn marks." Urban explorers tried to break in. Paranormal YouTubers attempted midnight live streams, but none stayed beyond 10 minutes. They said the air shifted, their cameras glitched, and one woman claimed she heard someone softly calling her name from the bathroom. Her name was Debjani. What if Partha had been right? What if Debjani never left? What if, in choosing to keep her body, he also kept her soul and bound it to the house, to the tub, to the darkness behind closed doors? And what if she's still waiting for him to join her?